In 2026, the world's most advanced soccer stadium featured this massive multi-million-dollar retractable roof that, organizers absolutely refused to open.
Right, they kept it totally shut.
Yeah, just so they could build a fake artificial sun indoors. I mean, picture the contradiction there.
It is pretty wild when you think about it.
It really is. And welcome to the Deep Dive, by the way. Today, you are looking at this continent-sized web of moving parts. We are talking about 48 different teams from around the globe.
Spread across 3 massive countries, right? The United States, Mexico, and Canada.
Exactly. Millions of miles of travel, millions of passionate fans, and an infrastructure demand that practically reshaped the geography of North America.
Because it's a logistical and architectural undertaking that honestly operates on a level we had never seen before in global sports.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, organizers weren't just putting on matches. They were essentially constructing these temporary, hyper-dense cities within existing metropolitan areas.
While battling extreme climates, too.
Right, and unprecedented transit demands.
Which brings us to the core of our deep dive for you today. But before we get into the wild engineering of these spaces, I want to redefine 3 terms you hear constantly in sports.
Yeah, that is a critical starting point because the official terminology often hides the true scale of the operation here.
Right. And we want to make sure you are looking at this through the correct lens, especially, for those of you working on your English fluency who might be used to the textbook definitions.
So what's the first one?
Take the word capacity. We aren't just talking about local fire codes here.
Oh, no, not at all.
We are talking about strict net stadium capacity. They actually subtract thousands of seats to make room for these massive international media broadcasts and VIP security zones.
Exactly. And second is the venue. When we say venue, we don't just mean the physical building with the grass.
Right, it's bigger than that.
Much bigger. We mean the exclusive, highly controlled perimeter where, honestly, local commercial laws are practically suspended by international governing bodies.
It's like its own little country. And third, the host city. This isn't just like a dot on a map or a tourist destination.
Yeah, it is the wider metropolitan zone that actually has to foot the staggering bill for all that transit and security infrastructure.
Exactly. By redefining those terms, you start to see the friction, right?
Yeah, a host city invites the tournament, but the venue operates as an independent entity. And the capacity dictates a massive logistical burden.
Exactly the friction we want to explore for you. So our mission in this deep dive is to examine the architectural marvels hosting these games and the logistical chaos of moving millions of people.
And how all of this impacts the actual soccer, of course.
Yes. We're going to break down the latest knockout results, specifically focusing on the massive semifinal clash that took place on July 14th.
Oh, that was a huge one.
It was. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, I think the most logical place to start understanding the sheer scale of this tournament is by looking at the largest footprints.
Right, the biggest venues.
Exactly. And to find those, we have to look at the immense hubs in Texas, specifically focusing on the massive operations in Dallas and Houston.
Because everything is bigger in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Houston is handling an enormous logistical load, but if we're talking pure architectural scale, we have to look really closely at Dallas Stadium.
Oh, for sure. The capacity there is an unbelievable 94,000 people.
It is the absolute largest venue in the entire tournament.
It is a colossal enclosed structure. And, the engineering behind it is fascinating. The entire massive dome is supported by 2 distinct arches that are like 300 feet tall.
Wow, 300 feet.
Yeah, they span the entire length of the stadium. It creates this cavernous space that feels almost like an industrial cathedral.
And hanging right in the middle of that space are these twin video boards. They run almost the entire length of the field.
They are massive.
So ridiculously huge that professional American football players have literally hit them with the ball when punting.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah. The screens just dominate the artificial sky. It is honestly like watching a soccer match at a hyper-modern indoor drive-in movie theater.
And that enormous space was the stage for an incredibly high-stakes match. Dallas Stadium hosted the semifinal on July 14 between France and Spain.
A match that completely altered the trajectory of the tournament. I mean, on July 14th, Spain defeated France 2-0 to advance to the final.
They really did. And that result reveals a lot about tactical resilience, especially when you look at the grueling journey both teams took.
Yeah, Spain had a really challenging path, didn't they?
They did. On July 10th, they secured a highly contested 2-1 victory over Belgium and Inglewood. They showed deep tactical discipline in that match.
Right. And France, meanwhile, had reached the July 14th semifinal by grinding out a 2-0 win against Morocco back on July 9.
Exactly. But on July 14th, inside that massive Dallas venue, Spain just looked completely unbothered.
Yeah, they really dictated the midfield, controlled the pace, and just dismantled the French defense.
They were playing on another level.
Which actually makes me wonder about the physical environment. I know that an enclosed venue of this unbelievable size, packed with 94,000 screaming fans, looks impressive on TV.
Oh, it looks incredible.
But does putting a giant lid over a crowd physically alter the way the game is played on the pitch?
It absolutely alters the mechanics of the game. What's fascinating here is how sound behaves as a physical force.
Okay, how so?
Well, in an open-air stadium, the kinetic energy of the crowd noise just dissipates upward into the atmosphere.
Right, it just escapes.
But when you put a solid roof over 94,000 people, those sound waves bounce off the ceiling and crash right back down onto the pitch.
Oh, wow.
It creates a literal acoustic pressure cooker.
So it isn't just loud, it is a physical wall of sound pressing down on the players.
Precisely. And the tactical implication is severe. The psychological weight of that noise actively interferes with on-field communication.
Like they can't even hear each other.
Literally, a center back cannot hear their goalkeeper shouting instructions from just 5 yards away.
That is bonkers.
Because verbal communication is neutralized by the architecture, players have to basically abandon vocal coordination. They rely almost entirely on visual cues and deeply rehearsed spatial patterns.
Wow. See, here is where it gets really interesting to me. Dallas controls its environment by just sealing the building shut and trapping the noise.
Right, brute force.
But other venues had to engineer completely different wild solutions to battle their own extreme local climates, and sometimes with disastrous results.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, San Francisco surrendered to the sun, while Monterey actively fought back.
The contrast there is a perfect case study in environmental architecture. Let's look at the San Francisco Bay Area Stadium.
Okay.
It has a capacity of 71,000, and it features a completely open-air design.
But the design choices there created a massive problem, right?
A huge one.
They stacked all the luxury suites on one side of the stadium, which physically pushed the upper deck seats on the opposite side incredibly high up.
Right into the elements.
Exactly. Because it is completely open air, those upper deck fans are left facing directly into the setting sun during afternoon and evening games.
They are just baking up there, dealing with serious heat stress.
Yeah. The architecture prioritized sightlines and premium seating, but entirely failed to account for the brutal reality of local solar exposure.
Now compare that failure to Estadio Monterrey down in Mexico, which is nicknamed the Steel Giant.
Love that name.
It holds a capacity of 53,500. And, Monterrey gets incredibly hot, but they engineered a brilliant physical defense.
Yeah, they built this massive cantilever roof.
For those who might not know, a cantilever is essentially a beam anchored at only one end, right?
Exactly. Reaching out over the seats without needing structural pillars that would block the fan's view. But it doesn't just act like a giant protective sun hat. It is more sophisticated than that.
Much more. That cantilever roof functions almost like an airplane wing.
Wait, really? Like aerodynamically?
Yes. It is aerodynamically designed to catch the high-altitude crosswinds and direct that airflow down into the seating bowl. Oh, that is so smart.
It actively flushes out the trapped heat while simultaneously blocking the intense Mexican sun.
And on top of being an engineering marvel, the roofline purposefully dips down on the south end, offering the fans this stunning framed view of the Cerro de la Silla mountain.
They solved the climate problem while actually highlighting the host city's natural geography.
Brilliant. And speaking of architectural flexibility, we have Atlanta Stadium. With a 75,000 capacity, it features a retractable roof that operates like a massive mechanical pinwheel.
Oh, that roof is beautiful.
When it opens, it mimics a camera lens, physically dilating. The venue also features a massive glass wall looking out at the skyline, and it is widely famous for offering incredibly cheap food prices to the fans, which totally changes the consumer experience.
It really does. It is arguably the most fan-centric venue in the tournament, but the absolute most complex roof scenario occurred in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, yes, let's talk about Vancouver.
BC Place has a capacity of 54,000, and it boasts the largest cable-supported retractable roof in the entire world, which is the contradiction I mentioned right at the start. They possess this magnificent retractable roof designed to open up to the sky.
Right.
But organizers decreed it would remain permanently closed for the tournament.
I mean, isn't it completely counterintuitive that they had to close a massive outdoor roof just to help natural outdoor grass grow indoors.
It sounds totally absurd on the surface, I know,
Mm-hmm.
but the underlying science of turf management makes it completely necessary.
Okay, walk me through it.
So when you open a massive structural roof like that, the sunlight does not reach the pitch evenly. As the earth rotates, the heavy cables in the roof structure cast deep, permanent shadows that crawl across very specific sections of the field.
Oh, I see. So you have patches of grass getting absolutely baked in direct UV light, while other patches are basically living in permanent twilight.
Exactly. And that creates dangerous inconsistencies.
Mhm.
Because the tournament imported highly specific natural grass to ensure a pristine playing surface, uneven sunlight creates uneven growth.
Which affects the gameplay massively. The shaded grass retains more soil moisture and grows thinner, changing the physical friction of the pitch. A player sprinting across the field would suddenly hit a damp, slick patch and completely lose their footing.
That could cause a huge injury.
Right. So by closing the roof entirely, organizers eliminate all the shadows. They then suspend specialized artificial grow lights directly over the pitch.
Distributing the exact same millimeter of ultraviolet radiation to every single blade of grass.
You got it.
They shut out the real sun to build a perfectly controlled artificial sun. That is just the peak of environmental manipulation.
It really is.
But while Vancouver is relying on high-tech microclimates, some of these venues aren't fighting nature. They are literally trying to embody it, drawing their power from deep local history and completely unique geological designs.
Which brings us down to Guadalajara, Mexico, and Estadio Akron.
Yes.
It holds a capacity of 48,000.
And the design of this venue is unbelievable. French architects were brought in, and instead of building a traditional steel box, they designed the stadium to look exactly like an erupting volcano.
It is stunning.
It is built directly into a massive man-made grass hill. The white roofing membrane looks like a cloud of smoke resting on top of a green caldera. It seamlessly blends into the surrounding landscape.
It is such a stunning visual metaphor. But, if we are talking about drawing power from the local geography, we have to talk about a venue that is practically a cathedral of soccer.
Oh, the Mexico City Stadium.
Also known as Estadio Azteca. It has a massive capacity of 83,000 fans.
And the historical weight there is just staggering. It hosted 2 previous World Cup finals, right? 1970 and 1986.
Yes.
But playing there is notoriously brutal for visiting teams. And I know it comes down to the elevation. Mexico City sits at a towering 7,200 feet above sea level.
It's incredibly high.
I understand that at 7,200 feet, there is a serious lack of oxygen. But I cannot figure out the physiological mechanics. I mean, how does a team from a sea-level host city survive 90 minutes of professional soccer up there without just passing out?
It is a severe biomechanical challenge, honestly. At 7,200 feet, the atmospheric pressure is significantly lower.
Okay.
The oxygen is still there, but the molecules are spread much further apart. So every breath a player takes delivers fewer oxygen molecules to their bloodstream.
So they are literally just getting less fuel.
Right. When an athlete sprints at full speed, their muscles demand massive amounts of oxygen to synthesize energy, but their lungs physically cannot extract it fast enough from that thin air.
So they enter what trainers call oxygen dead, where their legs feel filled with lead, their recovery time between sprints doubles, and they start gasping.
Precisely. To survive, teams have to arrive in the host city weeks in advance.
To acclimatize.
Yeah. The human body detects the thin air and triggers a survival mechanism, rapidly overproducing red blood cells, which are the specific cells responsible for transporting oxygen.
Oh.
The blood literally thickens to become more efficient, but that biological adaptation takes significant time.
Right. Contrast that brutal physiological environment with the venue in Seattle, Washington, which sits right at sea level.
Oh, Seattle Stadium is a totally different ecosystem.
Yeah, capacity of 69,000, right on the water. It features this striking, open, pyramid-shaped bleacher section in the north end called the Hawk's Nest.
Such a cool design.
They specifically left that area empty of towering luxury boxes just to preserve the sightlines of the city skyline for the fans. It also features incredible Native American art installations called Earth Dialogue.
It is beautifully integrated into its local culture and, unlike Mexico City, boasts rich, highly oxygenated sea level air.
But Seattle produces an entirely different environmental phenomenon, right? Seismic noise.
Oh, the fans in Seattle are legendary.
Yeah, the stadium's acoustic design traps sound so effectively that when the crowd celebrates, the sheer physical vibration of 69,000 people jumping in unison has actually registered on local seismometers.
They literally create minor earthquakes.
It's amazing. It happened during the famous American football beastquake, and it even happened during a Taylor Swift concert there. The fans themselves become a geological event.
It perfectly highlights how a venue is never just an inert building, right? It acts as a physical amplifier for human emotion.
Totally.
But of course, taking millions of these passionate earthquake-inducing fans and trying to move them through a host city into these hyper-engineered venues creates immense logistical friction.
Oh, and that friction leads to some severe infrastructural nightmares. Moving this many people across a continent isn't just hard. It has real environmental and human costs.
Huge costs. Let's look ahead to the final, which took place on July 19th at the New York-New Jersey Stadium.
With an 82,500 capacity, it is the crown jewel venue. But its geographic location presents a massive, baffling challenge.
It highlights a critical failure in urban planning, honestly. The stadium is located in a New Jersey swampland.
Yeah, and despite being located next to one of the most transit-dense cities on Earth, there is no direct rail connection from New York City straight into the stadium complex.
Which is just wild to think about.
It really is. The resulting transit gridlock leading up to the matches was so profound that fans were legitimately discussing plans to walk miles along the shoulder of the I-95 highway just to reach the gates.
I mean, imagine dodging high-speed commercial trucks just to go watch a soccer game.
It's terrible. And when a host city cannot effectively move people to a venue, the entire foundational experience of the tournament degrades.
It does. But the logistical failures extend far beyond local highway traffic. There was a startling environmental study released regarding the tournament's overall carbon footprint.
I saw those numbers, and they are wild. The event is estimated to generate 7.8 million metric tons of CO2.
It's a massive number, but the breakdown of that pollution is the real story. It is deeply nuanced. By utilizing existing massive stadiums rather than building new ones from scratch, the tournament kept its direct infrastructure emissions incredibly low.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, only about 3% of that massive carbon footprint came from the operation of the venues themselves.
Okay. I have to push back on this narrative of sustainability, though.
Go ahead.
Because if reusing existing stadiums only saved 3% of the emissions, but spreading the tournament across 3 massive countries required endless cross-continental flights for teams and fans.
Right.
And those flights caused almost 88% of the total carbon footprint. Doesn't that fundamentally prove that a continent-wide World Cup is just an absolute climate disaster?
That is the big question.
You are saving pennies on stadium concrete, but spending billions on jet fuel.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this raises an important question about the future viability of modern mega events.
Right.
The sociological argument for a continent-wide tournament is inclusion, allowing more host cities to experience the cultural and economic influx.
Sure, spread the wealth.
But you are entirely correct to highlight the structural contradiction. The data clearly suggests that, from a purely environmental standpoint, hyper-localized tournaments utilizing robust, existing public transit networks are the only truly sustainable model.
Yeah, the North American model explicitly prioritized sheer scale and existing mega venues over transit efficiency.
And the resulting carbon footprint is the undeniable cost of that choice.
It is a massive clash of priorities, inclusion versus environmental reality. And speaking of clashes, we cannot talk about these highly regulated venues without talking about the intense branding wars between local identity and global corporations.
Yes. The inevitable tensions surrounding FIFA's clean venue regulations.
This played out perfectly at the Bay Area Stadium in California. FIFA enforces these incredibly strict rules that essentially state no local stadium sponsors can be visible during the World Cup.
None at all.
Only FIFA's official global corporate partners are allowed to exist in that space. So the Bay Area Stadium was ordered to literally cover up the massive Levi's brand logo that is permanently bolted to the side of their building.
It is standard operating procedure for international governing bodies to sanitize a venue to protect their own revenue streams.
Right. But the mechanism of how the local sponsor retaliated was brilliant.
They handled it so well.
They executed a masterclass in trolling. Instead of quietly accepting the censorship, the clothing company leaned into the absurdity of it. They weaponized the Streisand effect.
Oh, absolutely. They turned the cover-up itself into a highly successful viral marketing campaign.
Yeah. By making ads about the logo they weren't allowed to show, they created a narrative of a local cultural staple fighting back against a faceless global corporation.
Which is such a compelling story for consumers.
People spent far more time talking about the censored logo than they ever would have if it had just been left completely visible.
It is a perfect illustration of the modern tension inherent in hosting these events. A venue is deeply intertwined with its host city's local economy and culture.
Right.
But for 1 month, an international governing body descends, legally overrides that local identity, and attempts to turn the stadium into a sterilized, globalized television set.
And the local culture always finds a way to push back.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean? We have covered immense ground today.
We really have.
We traveled from the erupting volcano architecture in Guadalajara to the earthquake-inducing acoustics in Seattle. We examined the brutal physiological reality of playing at 7,200 feet in Mexico City and the logistical nightmare of walking along a New Jersey highway to reach the July 19 final.
Not to mention the sound dynamics.
Yes, we broke down how the acoustic pressure cooker in Dallas set the stage for Spain to march past France 2-0 in that historic July 14 semifinal.
I hope this exploration proves to everyone listening that being a truly well-informed fan isn't just about memorizing final scores or player statistics.
No, not at all.
It is about deeply understanding the complex environmental factors, the cutting-edge architectural engineering, and the massive logistical friction that make those scores possible. The venue dictates the flow of the game just as much as the tactics on the pitch.
You are not just watching athletes. You are watching an ecosystem react to incredible stress. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder.
What's that?
As these stadiums continue to evolve into massive, self-contained entities featuring their own artificial weather systems, generating their own localized transit crises, and sparking their own corporate branding wars, will future global tournaments actually be hosted by sovereign countries?
That's a great question.
Or will they simply be hosted by a detached network of all-powerful, independent mega venues that operate entirely by their own rules?
Definitely something to think about.
Something to think about the next time you step inside the gates. Thanks for taking the deep dive with us.